Gearbox Software's Borderlands 2 is an innovative blend of role-playing and first-person shooter elements set on the planet Pandora. Continuing the same sci-fi western plot as the first Borderlands, but 5 years later, the game follows 4 vault hunters, treasure hunters turned revolutionaries, of 4 classes: Siren, Berserker, Assassin, and Commando. The 4 protagonists from the first Borderlands drive the narrative of the sequel, providing an emotional connection for those who've played Borderlands 1 and allowing new players to learn about the events of the past game naturally. Borderlands 2 maintains and even improves upon the unique dry wit and humor of the first game. A mix of sarcasm, vulgar jokes, and snappy pop culture references makes this sci-fi western feel lighter and more familiar. The game borrows from cinema and comic books to create a distinct, immersive world that is both detailed and aware of its players. Non-player characters apologize for spouting exposition, and your sidekick robot Claptrap gets annoyed with you for taking too long to loot the vault. Western music sets the tone of the game while establishing its mix of genres. The opening music tells you, in contrast to the stereotypical FPS and RPG stories, that this ain't no place for no hero. The game provides the richness in story and variety of quests of an RPG, but the gameplay and mechanics of an FPS. Borderlands 2 caters to a variety of playstyles, offering literally millions of guns and integrating a single-player and multiplayer format seamlessly. This vast array of guns and other items makes looting a driving force in the game as you search for the objects that will best suit your character. When friends come online, they can join into your story effortlessly so that you don't have to break your narrative flow. Enemies increase or decrease difficulty depending on the number of players, and the game will tell you if the match between your characters is ideal or not based on your individual levels and skills. The only aspect of multiplayer not accounted for is a loot sharing system. The same amount of loot is available regardless of the number of players, and the game leaves it up to you to decide how to divide it. Although somewhat limited, Borderlands 2 allows for some character customization. Once you pick your class, you can change your character's face and skins. Your customization options increase as you play through the game, and you can change your appearance at any time if you find a customization station in the game world. You can also customize your character's skills through different skill trees, deciding which attributes are more important to your playstyle. Borderlands 2 also provides a variety of enemies for you to test your skills against. There are 3 major classes of enemies, with dozens of subclasses to keep the fighting interesting. Enemy types also correspond to the environment you're in, which makes narrative sense and allows you to strategize better. To make fights more interesting, Borderlands 2 continues the first game's fight for your life mechanic. When dealt a lot of damage, you can save your character from imminent death by killing an enemy, or use this time to wait for healing from your multiplayer friends. Borderlands 2 offers an expansive map to be explored. The in-game cars, which are also customizable, allow you to easily discover new locations, which are then added to your map for fast traveling. A variety of locations helps advance the narrative, RPG style, and challenge the player to use new strategies, in FPS style. They also allow Borderlands 2 to show off its comic book art aesthetic in multiple environments. One drawback to the world's diversity is that the map interface cannot capture its complexity. Underground tunnels and secret hideouts often don't appear on the map, making them difficult to find. Which leads us to interface. Every component of the interface, including the maps, are integrated with the game's narrative logic. The future technologies on this dystopian planet allow you to pull up digital maps, communicate with your artificial intelligence guide, and scroll through various items. Even death and regeneration are accounted for. When you die, you are regenerated by the high-tech Hyperion Corporation, for a small fee from your treasury. One aspect unaccounted for by the game's narrative is the player's vast accumulation of wealth. As you progress through the game, you end up with millions of dollars, making even the best guns cheap. Depending on which interface you choose, Borderlands 2 has various bugs. One prominent glitch on PC is that scrolling through items stops working intermittently, forcing the player to log in and out of menus until it finally works properly. To keep players engaged, Gearbox has created the Shift Rewards program. A few times per week, the company puts limited edition codes on its social media pages, which savvy players can cash in for ultra-rare items. This bleed between the virtual and real world of Borderlands 2 keeps players involved with the company's sites, but also risks breaking the immersion of the game by forcing players to look outside the game for valuable in-game rewards. In addition to its Shift program, Gearbox has built upon its success and remedied some of its failings from Borderlands. Gearbox strove to do more in this sequel in every arena, responding to players' complaints. Borderlands 2 provides a more detailed narrative that builds on the beloved characters from the first game. Gearbox offered more variation in every category: characters, enemies, maps, and weapons. The first game didn't allow any character customization, while the sequel allows for customized skins and faces. Enemies and maps were also much more varied in Borderlands 2, as we discussed before. But by far the most dramatic improvement was the weapons. With the release of Borderlands 1, Gearbox bragged about their variety of weapons, but players were let down when different weapons only looked different and didn't actually cater to a variety of playstyles. Gearbox has definitely upped their game with this sequel, including 17.75 million gun varieties that have both aesthetic and mechanical differences. Borderlands 2 also included more sophisticated trading systems. In the first game, players would have to simply trust that other characters would be honest about dropping and picking up items, but Borderlands 2 includes an interface and system for doing so. Overall, Borderlands 2's witty dialogue and cinematic narrative draw the player in, while enhanced game mechanics make fights even more enjoyable. Aside from some small interface glitches, the game is fun, fast-paced, and entertaining. In an era of emphasizing realism in video games, Borderlands 2 shows that stylized art can be both immersive and beautiful. Borderlands 2 illustrates the potential games can have by combining the best of multiple genres.